Well, the kumquats are on and we've started harvesting. So what we'll do is we'll harvest, I'll probably do, I don't know, a tree every so often, because you can see there's an awful lot of kumquats here. And what we'll do is a little series on what you can do with your spare kumquats. Alrighty. G'day folks, Andy here from McDowell Manor. Okay, so recipe number one. I picked a heap of kumquats, over 2 kilos. So the first thing I do with kumquats, now this will work with any bitter fruit. So just because I happen to be using kumquats, you can use grapefruit. I suspect you probably get away with lemons. Well, you could on this recipe, because this is my famous kumquat-cello, which is modelled after limoncello. So I can't particularly say I measure anything, but I do have a video which I'll link in, which shows you how this is done properly. I just wanted to give you a quick taste not a taste of my kumquat-cello. Steep, I'll tip it upside down every day. It'll steep for a couple of weeks. And the way I know it's ready is I stick my little finger in and taste it. But like I say, I'll give you a link to a proper recipe for that one, because I've done that before. And then we're going to move on to kumquat recipe number 2, which is going to be a kumquat chutney. So this is a recipe I found on bakingsense.com. Eileen Gray holds the copyright, so there you go, all credit due. Now, given the amount of kumquats that I've actually got, I'm going to do a double batch. So I want 900 grams of kumquat. You've got to get rid of the seeds and slice it up, so I'll do that now. It's a pretty boring task, I've got to tell you. So my advice, if you find that you're getting bored and distracted, feel free to pour yourself a homemade beer. So we've got the 900 grams of chopped up kumquats. I've got 4 carrots, grated. It said shredded, but I presume that's the same as grated. I'm about to put in, now it says 1 small onion each, so that's 2 for me. Didn't have small ones, but I got a tiny one, and then I used a big one. So I'm going to run that through the little food processor and throw that in. Adding 2/3 of a cup of chopped up dried apricots and cranberries. Go figure. So I was about to get on to all the spices, and I realised what's really interesting is I'm going to end up with 2 cups of apple cider vinegar. Holy dooly, that's a hell of a lot of vinegar. But I'll add that, and then I'll come back when it's all in. So I'll put the whole lot, get out of it, fly. I'll put the whole lot of it in there. What you're meant to do, according to the recipe, is you bring it to the boil, simmer it for 5 minutes, and then you add the honey and the spices. Well, I added everything all at once. I really can't see how it would make a difference. When we're going to boil this now for about 45 minutes. It certainly looks good, doesn't it? I've made a note on my recipe. I did comment about how boring it was trying to prepare those kumquats, and the result is I've left it far too chunky. So I'm going to run this through the food processor when it's finished. What I've done is made a note on the recipe that says quarter and de-seed, and then run the kumquats straight through a little food processor. That'll solve the problem. So while it's cooking, it's pretty close, as you can see. I've given it a bit of a taste. I think I'm going to add a bit more ginger, mostly because I'm a ginger nut. I love this stuff. Might add a little bit more salt as well. Maybe a bit more coriander. Final product had a bit more chili, because I like it hot. I added a little bit of cumin to sort of bring me back to the Middle East. And some cinnamon. A little bit more honey. And the extra ginger. Now, I'm really happy with the taste of that now. So, looking good, folks. Only got think about whether to process it, because gee, she's breaking down pretty well. Oh, I also added a glass of water. It was drying out too much. Wow, pretty impressive actually. So you can see it really has broken up pretty nicely, that kumquat. All I'm going to do is run a stick blender through it fairly quickly, give it a few minutes just to get rid of the worst big ones. And then we'll bottle him up, and I might even, I think I'll hot water bath can him, because it's very acidic, so that's probably all it needs. Well, there you go, folks. That's the final haul. Let me tell you, I am very impressed with this recipe. I added a few things, obviously, as you saw. Mine's a fiery little fella, because I did put quite a bit of chili in him. I really like it. I really think this is a wonderful recipe. It's off to you, Eileen. Hopefully you can still read that web address there. I'll put a link in so people can go and make it for themselves. And as you saw with me, spice it up how you want. It's a good, from what I've seen, it's a good sort of base recipe that you can really work off, which is wonderful. Alright, so if you enjoy this kind of home farming, you know, back to the old days videos, feel free to hit the subscribe button. I will do more on what I do with my little bit of fruits, so feel free to come along. I'll make a playlist for that. And I'm also doing a playlist on what I do with all these darn Madagascar beans. Alright folks, now interestingly, I only have that container and 8 trees worth of kumquats still to go. Oh lordy. You have a good one, eh? Hooroo!